Hello, Mayors. How are you all doing? I hope you're well. We're here to start another episode of Barboza Cities, our vanilla island. And if you like this series, please leave a like here at the beginning of the video. If you're not subscribed yet, consider subscribing because I really want to reach 100,000 subscribers. And man, we're really close, but the number of new subscribers on the channel has dropped, okay? From 2,000, 2,500 to 1,300, 800 monthly subscribers, so it dropped by almost half. So please check your subscription, all right? Well, let's start the episode now. I've already made my requests and my appeals. And I want to start laying out lots already, man. Because I'm eager to see this French style a bit better. The only time I used it was back in this video where I introduced the packs, right? The regional packs. And then never again, okay? We have the French medium density housing with a terrace and the regular medium density one. And there are the mixed ones, which have affordable rent. I'm going to place the mixed ones here. I need to figure out their size, okay? That's why I'm going to lay out the lots now. The whole block with this mixed one to see how deep it is. Probably the maximum depth will be 4 squares, see? And in width, we have 3 squares wide. So I don't know if this will be the maximum size for the buildings here, but we already have a good base to work with. Look, the demand for medium density has already been met, right? Now there's high density, which I'm going to, put here closer to the sea. I'm also going to zone the whole block for us. Look, this one is already much bigger, man. I think this building here is going to stand out a lot from these ones, okay? I think it's going to be really different. Here, maybe it's not even wall to wall, right? From what I'm seeing here. But let's see. Let's wait for him to forget, and then we'll do the test. Look, medium density here with shops on the ground floor, right? And residences above mixed, right? Mixed use zoning. It's already grown. And man, it looks really nice here, okay? Really cute. Yeah, the big difference in height from one to the other is a little annoying, okay? Even though both of them are at level 1 here. But that's okay. Here too, man. This inside part, yeah, these big walls don't look good, right? Out of nowhere, here and in the other building, there's a terrace, right? It would be cool if everything was a terrace or if everything was a big wall here and there was more construction in the back. I don't know how that's going to be when the buildings are at their maximum level. Here, Manika, dude, the style here is really different, okay? It actually changes a lot. So, okay, I already know how this is going to work. I know I'm not going to put it here by the beach. At least not all messy like this, right? You saw how it is when we lay everything out at once without knowing anything, right? But, okay, I even deleted the medium density here because now I'm going to do things properly and nicely. I'm only going to leave mixed use on our esplanade, okay? Here, all the way down, and that's on both sides. There won't be a corner building here because of this zoning that doesn't allow it. So I'm going to put something else around here. Maybe a police headquarters. Look, this is the French-style police headquarters, right? We have the police station and the headquarters. The headquarters is much bigger. It costs a lot more. It has more prison capacity. Since this is going to be a dense area, right, I'm going to put it here. I'm going to build a path here to complete this alley and see if there's room for another public building here. Man, we have a French City Hall and we can unlock it here. Look, in this City Hall tab, I'm going to unlock it. There's also a central bank. It'll be nice to have it around here too. And maybe the City Hall would look better here than the Botanical Garden. Let's try to move this Botanical Garden over here, right? Still making it part of the Esplanade. Yeah, the problem is that this block isn't really working for the City Hall, right? It's too big for the City Hall. So I'll go back to the original plan of leaving the Botanical Garden here. We can find a good spot for the City Hall on this side. We can put the French fire station here, put it right here, look. So you can get your bearings. Put it at this point. Although there's the French fire department, right? It's more expensive and has more capacity. So I think I'll switch it. At least here in the central area, right? French schools. We have an elementary school here. It can be on this esplanade like this too. No problem. Yeah, it can't be on the corner, right? Otherwise, it'll end up with a really weird wall here. But the high school can and should be on the corner. Look, it looks nice. On a big corner like this, huh? Cool. Well, I think this school, whether it's high school or elementary school, could be right here. Even if we end up with a view of this big wall, right? It gives the impression that this was demolished to build the tunnel, right? There were lots here that were demolished, and now only the side of the school is left, right? I think it's a good idea, a good justification. And about those little French roofs I mentioned in the last episode, right? Here we have the orange ones and the gray ones, right? Because they mix together here. These gray ones are from the region further north in France, right? And these orange ones here are from the regions further south, closer to the Mediterranean. Here around the high school, I'm building more pedestrian paths. It's also to close off this block here, right? I put this path here at the end of this corner, right? This linear path. It can even be on both sides. If I move a little further away from this avenue here, you see it makes a nice passage. I just wanted the ground to be the same, you know? And I even think this one matches more, and we don't get to choose that. That's why we have to keep deleting and redoing. I'll put a bunch here until the one you want shows up. Here, look, it showed up here. Then you delete all the rest. And move this one over there. All right, it's not exactly like that yet. They seem the same, though it doesn't look it. From certain angles, it stands out a bit. Anyway, then I'll bring it here with an alley too. And I think it looks nice. It looks good like this. Here on the side of the school, I put a playground, right? And some plazas. More just to fill up this space, right? And what about the hospital, huh? We need a hospital. Well, and it fits here. Actually, it looks like it was made to be here, see? Right? There's a hospital. And man, what a beautiful hospital. Look, there are a lot of ambulances. There's a park back here, right? It looks like it works as a park. There's even an upgrade here, so if I want to remove part of the park later, I can. I'll go ahead and put it in to finish off the landscape. And just like that, we already start populating the city here. I'll go ahead and create a district here so we have some data available. Right? Concord Burn. The game named it Concord. That's a cool name, huh? Already 613 inhabitants or residences, right? 891 people living here. People are still kind of poor. We'll solve that issue. And the offices, huh? We have French-style offices. Let's see how big they are. I think they could be placed here near the station. Well, they grow here 4 and 4 by 4. I mean, 3 by 4. Well, since this is going to be a central area, I'm thinking around it. Make some kind of suburban areas, okay? Because we'll need that to control our demand as well. We can't just keep zoning with medium density. There will come a time when it runs out and only the others are left. And we need to meet the demand, right? Well, I'm going to do some zoning and lay out some lots over here. I'll draw some streets. I think here, look, it's asking for a street to go through, okay? I think the terrain, the slope is good. I'm going to extend it here and see how it turns out. From here too, look, you can run a road through here to actually start going up this hill here, right? And meet up with it over there. Up there, and then, right? We keep this space. This street here, it could even maybe continue this way on a viaduct over the road here. Maybe we could in the future build a little village here. Look, right on the edge of the mountain. Why not, right? Look at that. I even made the viaduct here already. Usually it's because sometimes we have two roads like this. Look, parallel. And going the same way, okay? Taking the same route. Because this route it takes is the best route to go through, right? So sometimes it narrows down, you see? Here's a very good depression to build a road, right? And then I run the road through there. There are things in street planning, right? Here, when it comes to drawing the streets, it's a lot about feeling, man. Sometimes I try to explain some logic, but most of it is kind of just feeling. And here, I think it even calls for a little roundabout. All right, it doesn't have to be very big. And now I'm going to start filling in this interior here. Look, with alleyways, really. It's going to look something like this, right? It turned out to be a nice little subdivision. And this is going to be the place, right? For us to zone it with the other density types. I really think this style here of French-style high density with affordable housing, precisely because of that factor, affordable rent, it matches better with areas farther from the city center, which isn't ideal, right? Affordable housing needs to be mainly in the center where there are services, right? But we know that in reality, that's not what happens. So, look, I want to start dividing this up in a way that really looks like a housing complex. I'm not sure if it's like this. Look, like this. There are shapes here too, so I'll repeat it, right? So we can get identical buildings. You can put a street with parking here, Some paths between the buildings too. You don't even have to wait for it to grow to decorate it nicely here. See? Then we get a condominium like this, right? It closes off the block nicely. You could even make more because the demand is there. You just have to get the size right. I still don't really know how to get the size of this French structure right. We don't have French low-density zoning, do we? So we're going to have to choose another style here. I think I'll just use the generic European one, you know? And we have demand. It's going to grow really quickly. We also don't have a purely commercial zone, right? So I'm going to use a generic European style here to also bring some commerce to this city, right? Buildings that are exclusively commercial also add some low-density commercial zoning, right? And the game is asking for a lot of commerce. I also don't want to always use high density. Let's also start placing some bike parking lots here from now on. Look, in these high density condos with affordable rent. Man, and a kind of bucolic area starts to form here, okay? Look at this, right? Several repeated buildings here and all. But it's like this, different from everything we've done so far in the series, right? Here, the suburban area has also grown with our generic European low-density style. And I think I'm going to keep expanding with this same style. And if the commercial demand just didn't exist for a long time here in Barbacini, man, this time it's in full swing, man. So I'm putting more high-density commercial zoning here on this avenue, right? Because it's a wide avenue, I imagine it should be very commercial. Man, I need more suburbs. I'm going to have to build suburbs over here. We can't even, right, divide up what we made to be 60 because we're really subject to demand, right? But here I'm going to do it like this. It's good for us to build and not just divide lots because we diversify the episode too, right? We're not just doing one thing. Here I'm going to create an underpass. It doesn't necessarily have to be a tunnel. Not if the game doesn't want it, right? If the game wants it, then it will have to be. Yeah, it's this height here, actually the depth, that the game wants me to leave this passage at, you see? A passage like this underneath and trying to lay out some streets here, connecting them, yeah, already to these loop ramps. Well, I think it would make sense for us to have something more or less like this, kind of circular, you know? Like this on this side and like this on the other side, all right. And now also, look, connect here to the ramps, right? And on this road here, it's a really important road, right? It comes from the train station. It's kind of like a roundabout, right? There will be a roundabout here. And then I'll make it one way, following the direction of the ramps themselves, okay? All right, and we won't even need this underpass here. Looking at it now, there's no need, right? I don't think the traffic flow will be that heavy for it. And now here, I'm going to start laying out a suburb too. Although all our needs here have already grown, right? But what's the harm, right? Start planning a small suburb here, following the lines of the terrain. I don't think there's any problem with that, right? We're already here anyway, so let's finish this up here. Look, this street here, it can come over and connect to the road so we get another entrance here. Not the main one in the city. For those who want to access this suburb here directly and take cars out of downtown, right? Which naturally is already going to be a very busy area. There, it's connected here, and this street comes through, right? This street ended up with a really nice curve here. Man, one of the things I enjoy most doing in these videos is making these layouts, you know? But for videos, it's not that cool because it takes a long time, right? It's very repetitive, and I don't know, I think you guys get the impression that there's not much progress. Comment below if that's really the case. Anyone who can give me that feedback would help. Brother, just to finish the neighborhood, I'm going to make a street up here now so we can mark off this part of the suburb and also work around the mountain here. It's going to look like this, right? And we already have plenty of suburban area here to zone. Let's take advantage of the fact that we have demand here for the downtown area, right? Let's see if we can make it happen. Wow, look at the size of this building. My God, I don't even know if this fits with the landscape, huh? Yeah, no, we can't leave this here, man. No, this one is European high density. This one might be okay, but the others, please don't do this to me. All right, let's go. Let's put it here again. Look, French medium density residential so we can really get this area going. And I'm going to have to go for the high density from the southwestern United States. In other words, that Californian style of housing, right? Which I always tend to use for beaches. And I'm going to mix it here with European high-density commercial as well. And for those who haven't seen the episodes where I talk about this high density for, man, these things here, look, these industries, they collapse. And then it's a pain to keep redoing this, okay? We've got traffic here. Exactly why, I don't know, right? This way it's pretty clear, but the traffic backs up from here, see? I think I'm going to have to add a lane here, make it 4 lanes in each direction along this whole route, right? There's no reason to leave just 1 lane in each direction anymore, right? Now that we're really exploring those sides of the island, right? But it's these buildings here, see? They've even grown, okay? They're bigger here than I remember, right? These buildings here, I think they really match the beach, and they're in the Californian style, right? Southwest of the United States. The area hasn't changed much, okay? With the buildings a little taller, right? That's not how I remembered it. Yeah, things level up, right? And then their appearance changes. Look, it's already grown here. You see it's a little shorter, right? It's already taking up this area. Well, now let's put in a little bit of office space. I'm putting the offices here around the station, okay? I think this would be a good place for offices, right? Sometimes people come to work here by train and all that. That's why I'm putting the offices here, and man, we can already open this up, right? This train station still doesn't have the line yet. We already have 7,000 inhabitants, wow. For comparison, our English village has about 3,500, right? And the Asian island here has 64,000, right? Way more. And the historic village here has 50,000. But already having 7,000 here is a lot, okay? It's a lot, it's quite a lot, because there's a lot of high density in disguise, right? This looks like low density, but it's not. But anyway, the energy problem came back. I don't know what happened. Let's put it as, no, I'll put it as lack of energy. It's either a bottleneck or a lack of production. No, we have power availability. There's a bottleneck somewhere. Here, look. There's a bottleneck here. Look, between the historic village and the Asian island, man. We have to think of another way. It's because everything that leaves here and goes there, right? It ends up going through this route. So, look, this road here doesn't have underground wiring. So, it could be our lifesaver, right? Look, pull it from here to here, see? Right? And eventually, I think at some point there was power here. I ended up deleting it, had to redo it. And the roads don't come. Look, it's already solved here, okay? Just by connecting here, it's already solved, see? This one doesn't have it either. But now it will. Look, actually, there were a lot of roads here without power lines. But now it's all good. Here's a crazy bottleneck, man. You know what happens sometimes? Check this out. Look at this lane. It's clear, okay? What's causing the traffic? Look at it here. These road maintenance trucks, see? They keep going, going, going. Then, when they go to do their maintenance, look. They brake suddenly and block everyone coming from behind, man. It's just that here he's not stopping, see? And then, look, it creates this whole line back here, okay? It's these road maintenance vehicles. I think it's the same thing here, huh? Yeah, everyone's choosing to enter here, right? So there are 2 lanes that actually merge into one. Because everyone is getting in here and causing this traffic jam when actually we have a clear way through here, man, okay? You basically end up in the same place. Look, our express route over the port, right? There are cars using it here, but it's really, really smooth, okay? I don't know why they're not coming this way. They could come this way, right? Instead of taking this road back here, look, in the back, let's see where these people want to go. Look, they're going, yeah, look, they're going here, look to the French city. But they're not choosing to come out here, right? Which would be faster. Look here, look, more road maintenance trucks. Look, causing a traffic jam, right? So in these cases, there's not much you can do. Well, now, yes, there's only residential left here. Let's see how our unemployment rate is. It's at around 12-13%. It's not as bad as it used to be, right? We can zone a lot of suburban housing here, right? Which is lower density, attracts fewer people. Before thinking about a new industry, right? Yeah, I'm thinking about maybe building an industry here, you know? Because the pollution will come this way. It's a mountain. There wouldn't be a problem, and we'd have 2 industries here. One on each side of the city. Because it's no use just bringing in people, and not training those people, and not making them work, right? But anyway, I'm gonna put low-density European commercial buildings on this avenue. Oops, I placed it, and it was high density. What's going on, man? Now that's better. And it's going to come out on both sides, okay? Although I don't know how I'm going to arrange things here on this hill. I'll just put it here now. If anything, when I go to run a road through here, I'll just remove this business. Or another one, right? And just to mention here too, look, I built some walkways, right? Off camera. I didn't show you guys, but here they are. Look, these are walkways that exist in real life, right? I think several Brazilian cities must have this kind of walkway here. And it's kind of spiral shaped anyway. To deal with the difference in height, right? And it turned out nice, right? I made it on this side here because we don't have a crossing from one side to the other, right? Over here we do because there's a sidewalk. And I made one here too, look. Here, since I was able to use the space to make these paths, I didn't need to make the spiral, right? The winding one. So it ended up like this, the crossing over the train tracks. Yeah, I think here, right, close to downtown, it might not even need to be low density. It could be high density. I'll put high density European commercial here, and then here, right? In the suburban area, use European low density zoning. And when a building is already messed up from the start, look, no exit, no car access, we demolish it and have it rebuilt. Do it the right way, man. Man, and there are a lot of these here. Look, they're all popping up messed up, huh? Look, I built a lot of commercial and low-density residential here. And then I finished it, right? The commercial, no. But the low-density residential, yes. And now, right? We still have some medium and a little bit of high density left for us to continue our downtown here. Look, we also have to be careful when zoning this commercial area here. Look, what kind of commercial building is this? Where's its entrance, right? Its entrance is here on the side. Why? Because it grew facing this little alley, and that's not right, is it? Look at the avenue we have here. It needs to grow facing the avenue, okay? So, pay attention to these things too. To see which side it'll grow on, look here, the construction entrance, see? The construction entrance is what determines which side it's going to grow on. Here it doesn't. There, see? Now it's switched to this side. If they hadn't changed the entrance to the building, what would I have done? I would come here to the roads, right? And I would go here, look, in the road zones option. I would remove the zoning from this side by clicking here, see, I would remove it. And only the avenue zoning would remain. And the building would have to be facing this way. Well, there's a lot of demand for commerce, okay? So I'm basically placing this high-density European zoning along this whole avenue here, okay? Even up here in the front, look, there's a lot here too. I also put a little bit of low density here. But man, it's not even making a dent here, right? The demand isn't being met. But the important thing is that our demand for medium density comes up soon, so we can finish this downtown area, right? And I removed the police station from here. I moved it over here, okay? I think this block here would fit it better, okay? And here I'm going to see if I can find some monument, right? To highlight this corner. Man, all the monuments are locked because we need level 3, level 5, and level 6 structures. French style level, okay? And that's really bad, man. It holds back the city's development. I think it's the only style that has this requirement thing. I haven't zoned anything in the Dutch style so far, and everything is unlocked, look, for the Dutch style. And all right, guys, after a long time, really a long time, okay? I'm gonna wrap this up here, okay? We did, look, all of this here in just one episode, okay? All these buildings, so it was a lot. I haven't even had lunch yet, and it's 6:30 in the evening. But, I promised you guys that I would put the train line here, right? There's no one arriving by train yet. What a shame. So let's, go to the last stop, which is here in the English Village, okay? And extend, right, this last stop, right, up to here. It's a long route, isn't it? But that's what the train is for. The train is meant for high-capacity transport over long distances, right? So there you have it. Stopped here at Vila Inglesa, and then the next stop is here, look, in our French town. Well, let's take a walk, right? See how things are, right? We have a distortion of the architectural style here on the waterfront, right? But I don't think it turned out that bad, okay? You can make a nice little beach here, and here is our more historic style, more central here on our esplanade. Well, I'm going to start here. Look, what view will people arriving by train have? Right? We even have someone here already. Look, this is the train village. Look, the train tracks. We have a very peaceful view, right? It even looks like a small town in the French countryside. And over here, we already have the avenue, right? It's a shame they don't come out on this side, right? I don't think they will. Here's the botanical garden, and here we already have the French buildings. We have the Statue of Liberty over there. Look, way back there at the end of our esplanade. Later on, I'm obviously going to build this park here, right? Over here we have the tunnel, but coming in this direction, look, we can see this street up here, which is an alley, right? Look, it's an alley that goes up the mountain. There are a lot of garbage trucks here, see? It's going up the mountain. For now, there's nothing over there. But this is the French style, man. Many people are walking around. It's pretty dense, right? We'll end up back at the esplanade over here. See, that's the difference. These buildings here, they're just residential. These ones, look, see the shops here on the ground floor, right? This is where we start to see the shops. There are a lot of them close to the esplanade. Let's go to the other side now, right? Let's see how things are on this other side. Wow, isn't there an intersection here? Wow, I didn't know this street was so long without an intersection. But over here, look, we can get in. There's a lot of French style here too. There are some pathways, right? There are some passageways here, some little alleys. But we're going to keep going here, look. Through the alleys and also observing the architectural style. Here we'll probably end up at the waterfront, right? The buildings are already starting to look a bit different. Remember that I'm going to do that same old detailing pass you already know, right? But for us to detail something, we need that thing to exist, right? So first we need to have a city, and then we can do everything else. At least here in the game, right? So the detailing comes later. Here it doesn't even look like we're in a French city, right? But this is going to be like the other villages we've made, right? We've mixed things up a lot, and I think it's turned out pretty cool so far, so I'm gonna keep mixing. There's a big field here, right? It's kind of open, but over here we're going to end up at the avenue by the train station again, right? Which is really busy. By the way, there are a lot of people walking around here, see? And I put these pine trees here, right? Along the avenue, between the avenue and the train tracks. Look, the train is already coming, see? Is this the inaugural trip already? So, there are people walking around here using the walkway. I didn't do as much on this other side, right? I didn't do much, but here's the street by the train station, see? And let's see if people are getting off. Look, a lot of people are getting off, huh? Quite a lot of people. Later, we'll take a look at these train numbers. And the station faces the lake, right? This lake here will be completely surrounded by buildings. For now, there aren't any. Where's the train, huh? How many passengers is it leaving with? It's leaving with 167 passengers. That's actually quite a lot for an inaugural trip, you know? And the next one that's coming? How many passengers is it coming with? Man, I thought this train line had few trains running, but look, there are 6 trains. Look, it arrived here at the Asian city, right? Pretty crowded, by the way. The platform is really crowded. And all these people here, they're either going to the English village or to the French city, right? To the French village, look. And it's going to be packed. Look. 279 passengers. And the next train, look, passing by the industrial area is arriving with 294 passengers. That's a lot of passengers. Let's use this view here, Edos, as we arrive at the station. Well, we're getting closer to our French village. Meanwhile, I'm going to say goodbye to you all. And man, I just got a surprise here. We have new deputy mayors. Welcome Rectangulo Gamer, Dave David Silva, David Trajano, Wright K. Rose, Guilherme, and Giovanni Perez. And thanks for becoming channel members. Shout out to the longtime deputy mayors, to Thais, to Ed Moreno, to Andre, to Johnny, to Rafael, to Bruno, Juan, Vitor, Giovanni, Freitas, Jose Fernando, and Nagal. Enjoy the weekend, and on Monday we have a meeting in the office to manage this island. The secretaries are also invited who, along with the deputies, get to see the episodes in advance. At least 24 hours in advance. It depends on whether I can record and edit in time, but that's usually how it goes. So, shout out to the deputies as well. And shout out to the council members whose names also appear in the credits as a way of saying thank you. You are the foundation and the pillar of this channel. Without you, all of this would fall apart, all right? And I want to give a special thanks, last but not least, to you who aren't a channel member, but you're subscribed, you like, you comment, you're always watching the videos here, you never miss an episode. You're the one who makes this channel happen, and this channel is made for you, so enjoy. We're always in this together. A big hug and see you next time. See ya.